This week, we have Casey Hogan of Crux Cigars. He's the vice president. We have Joe D. finally in-house. I am hosting the show today. It's a privilege and an honor to host this episode. It's episode 250 of Stogie Geeks. We are interviewing Casey from Crux Cigars. Second segment, we are going to talk about social media and cigars and some of the stuff that has been coming up and Stogies of the Week. Stay tuned.
This is a Security Weekly production. Broadcasting live from Villiger North American Studios, it's the show where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady. It's the Stogie Geeks Show. A hat tip, can we play that?
Yeah, one more time.
Can I hear a...
Yes!
Yeah.
Enjoy the dirt.
Guests and friends here in studio, including a regular cast of characters, Mr. Joe Hollywood to my right.
How are you?
That's awesome. Joe D's here. Rain Man's here. What's going on, Joe D?
Roundtable discussions.
Havana Cigar Club, located in Warwick, Rhode Island, is a great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Stogie Geeks listeners can find a $5 off coupon on our website by clicking the HCC logo.
Welcome to episode 250 of the Stogie Geeks. I am your host this week, Joe Hozempa. I have co-host finally back in studio, Joe D. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, man. Happy to be back.
Pirate flag's been raised, and I raided the humidor, and it's always a good time when I get a chance to sit in the seat. It's a privilege and an honor to host the show. Again, this is episode 250, so hats off to Paul and the staff, and what a great job that they've done, and to the next 250 podcasts that are coming up. I'm looking forward to participating in them, and 2018 looks like it's going to have some good stuff. So,
cheers, man.
I'm excited. Stay tuned on the StogieGeeks.com website. There's going to be a lot of updates, also Facebook page, Instagram, all that electronic extravaganza that we have going on. Today, right now, we have a guest who is joining us. We have Casey Hogan of Crux Cigars. He's the vice president. How are you, sir?
Casey, what's up, man?
Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for having me, and congratulations on episode 250. That's a big milestone for you.
Yeah, I remember. I remember like watching the first couple episodes, and then seeing the show grow and everything, and then I got a chance to be a part of it. It's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah,
so
cool. Congratulations.
Yeah. Let's get right into it. Crux Cigars. You guys came out on the scene a couple years back, right? 3, 4, 5 years ago, really? Am I off on my timeline?
Yeah, we came onto the scene at the 2014 IPCPR.
Okay.
Was where we launched our first core products. So basically 3+ years we've been plugging away and having a great time doing it.
Mm-hmm. I've had some of the original stuff, which we'll get into, and then now what I've noticed over the past, say, year or so, you've introduced some new lines as well. So I want to talk about some of that stuff there too. Correct.
Yeah. Originally in 14 we came out with 6 blends, which was our core, which was Passport, Bull and Bear, Classic, Skeeters, and Nymphomaniac in two blends. And then since then, we've come out with actually another 6. And, we're really always in the motivation to, find newer and better and more premium tobaccos to find the best that we can over and over and continue, finding, the best quality we can and continue to move forward with some new products that we think people will enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I've had some of the original stuff. Joe, have you?
The Nymphomaniac is absolutely one of my favorite knives.
That's a great stick.
Delicious stick for days. Perfect size format. It's incredible.
Yeah, we're going to take some time and get into those blends. But first, why don't you give us a history as to how you guys came about, where the factory is, what some of the projects were in the beginning, and how you're kind of morphing into where you are now.
Well, it started long before me. My cousin Jeff been in the tobacco business for 25 years. He started as a retailer in Minneapolis, and he's had stores throughout Minneapolis area since then. And then I started working for him in around 2007. In the off season during baseball, I'd go and work at his store and help him out in family business. So, and then after I was done doing that whole deal, I moved out to Vegas, and Jeff and I had talked about, doing a manufacturing company. And he had a lot of things he had to put in place for it, and I needed some real life experience post college. And so what we did is we reconvened a few years later, and then finally got to the point of Crux Cigars launching in 2014. And then predominantly our cigars are Nicaraguan tobacco. We use the factory, Plasencia factory in Esteli, La Cateto de Tobacco, which is their premium cigar, their highest quality factory. We have our own people inside. And we chose that factory for a lot of reasons. Just making sure you guys are still there. You kind of froze on the video.
We're good.
Yep, we got you.
We're good.
Okay, perfect. We chose that factory for a lot of reasons. Jeff was down there. Jeff spent, 3 years down there, once or twice a month. I mean, 30, 40, 50 trips, heading down there and doing a SWOT analysis basically on every factory, trying to find, what would be the best partner for us. And when he went through all the factories in the Dominican and Nicaraguas and Honduran factories, the partnership we have with Plasencia has been just a great partnership for us. Obviously, we know they have some of the best tobaccos in the world, if not some of the most tobacco in the world, which gives us a large variety. And they also let us do our thing. We kind of run our own factory inside with their people, and they let us kind of do our thing. We have our own quality control measures. We are, a small boutique company for them. But we have a lot of hands-on scenarios, but they also let us bring in our own tobacco. So it's been a great partnership thus far.
Mm-hmm. Have you had the opportunity to work in the retail shop? I missed that part. No?
Yes, I worked in Jeff's retail shops for, a 2-year period, not constantly, because I'd go play baseball in the summer, and then I'd be with him so I was probably actually working in retail for about 18 months, 9 months each time.
Okay. Tobacco tax is high where you guys are from, huh?
Originally, it was low over the next 5-year periods. Don't quote me on the exact numbers, but it went from like 25 to 50 to then it was up to 95%.
Yes.
Recently, but with the new legislation this year, Minnesota luckily got a cap put on that, so it's currently at 50 cents, and the goal is to keep it there.
There you go.
It seems like they're mimicking the Rhode Island, Connecticut, and some of the other states as well. We have a 50-cent cap tax there. I remember when Crux came new to the scene and they visited a local tobacconist. As someone who used to own a retail shop, the first thing I asked is, "Whoa, where are you from again?" And he told me, and I says, "You guys have a really high tax. It must be." It must have been like a big hurdle for you guys to finally get that 50-cent cap tax there, for sure.
Yeah, they originally got $3.50 cap, which is still a ton of tax.
For sure.
But a lot of hard work, a lot of lobbying through the Minnesota people on behalf of like Jeff and his team up there in Minneapolis at Tobacco Grove. They've done a lot to do with it, and they've been around the industry, and this year they got it to that 50 cents, and that's the goal, is to keep it there.
Right. Thank you for telling me that. That was just for my information purposes only. I love to kind of get the business aspect of
absolutely.
that, for sure. Crux, interesting logo. Your box presentation is fascinating. Your 5-packs that when you initially launched, that gave the consumers an option within the box separation, the Go Crux Yourself saying. Take us through all of that. To me it's a very fascinating brand.
Well, Mark Dahm is our designer and a partner of ours. He comes up with all of our, he's the graphic designer. He's the marketing genius behind all that stuff. And obviously with information from, Jeff and input from everybody else, they come up with these great logos. I can't take credit for the Crux logo, but it's eye-catching. It's great. And the whole packaging idea kind of came about because retailers first. You can make expensive boxes that make your cigars more expensive. You can make expensively large boxes that take up more shelf space. So originally, we came out with a box that was a 20-count box, 4 or 5 packs in a box, but it's very basic. You can read it, vertical or horizontally, because it wants to be friendly on the shelf for the retailers, because we want to have the cigars on the shelf versus let's put the best little masterpieces out there that they're going to either rip the covers off or dismember, so they fit them on their shelf. So I always tell the retailers, we'll make the coolest boxes in the world if they could all get together and get the same shelves. If they could do that for us, that would be great. But it's impossible for that, obviously. So we try to make a box that's universal for a lot of shelves. Started with the 4 or 5 packs, so you can sell them 3 points of purchase. But also we've come out with a lot of 10 count boxes as well. Because 10 count boxes, that guy can get a box price or box purchase, and he gets to take the box instead of having to commit to 20 sticks at a time. But we like the 10 count to 20 counts. We just want to make anything as easy for the retailers to sell the product as possible.
Great point.
Yep.
Let's talk about the retailers. How are you in regards to online price protection? Are you retailers first? I would assume the answer would be yes, coming from that you came from a retailer.
Yes, we are absolutely retailers first. We do have some online presence, but we do protect the prices. I mean, we wouldn't be able to be in brick and mortar as a small young company if all we did was, let it be discounted online. So that's absolutely not our business model at all. It's brick and mortar first, being behind our Crux retail partners. We need to stand behind those first and foremost. But we do know there is obviously business to be done in areas that don't have, a lot of either great retailers, or we just can't cover everywhere. So, to open up a ton of retailers across the country takes a lot of quality production, continual success. So we've taken it a slow step. So having a few online presences that you can check out, all of our retail partners at cruxcigars.com, and you can see where all the cigars are sold. But to be able to get those in the consumer's hands is the most important thing, but to keep that price protected at our MSRP. So that is definitely something that's, very forefront in our minds when we use anybody that's not brick and mortar that has a larger reach than, their area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good to know. Sometimes that's not often the case with other vendors. So, that's good, because I really think that, the brick and mortar themselves have faced a bunch of challenges, and the last challenge that they need is a company undercutting on.
That's what the last stronghold should be, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated with the point that 12 sticks in 3.5 years time, that's no small feat. And the, if you could elaborate on that, the decision to come out that hot and heavy, obviously the few shops I've seen you in, it's a legitimate presence, and that captures you right out of the gate as soon as you're walking in the humidor.
Well, the decision to come out with 6 blends, day one, was because we wanted to come out with a cigar company. We just didn't want to come out with a cigar. We wanted to be a presence. There was a lot of time spent by Jeff and, Mark with the designs and, getting everything put in place to launch a company and not say, oh, we got one cigar, let's go with it. So there was, a 3-year plus period spent, building that short portfolio to launch the cigars. And finally, when we were ready in 2014, we wanted to be a cigar company. And really coming out with another 6 blends since then, that's 2 a year basically. And the FDA kind of forced our hand a little bit to bring out a few more things a little faster than we wanted to. And so we were just, that wasn't something we could know going into it that long ago when we started. So, we had to play the hand we were dealt, and we continued to put ourselves in a position that was going to make us successful. But no, yeah, we've come up with a lot of things, and like we look at it as we want to make, constantly great quality cigars, continuing to make them, better, year after year, as well as consistent. And the fact is, we look at the market, and we find that obviously trends change. And if we don't change with them, we won't be successful. So we want to continue to give the consumer what they want to smoke.
I got to tell you, the website is clean, it's easy, and the descriptions on each cigar, it's mouth-watering. I want to dive into the screen and get after it right then and there. And I'm excited to see where you guys go, in the future as well.
You have any questions?
I'm sure, yeah.
I have tons, so if you want me to go, I'll just keep firing, right? I'll just keep firing questions. Take us through the original blends, visiting the factory. I'm assuming that you have been there. If you can give the Stogie Geeks listener kind of, the kind of pace, a visual, the best way you can of the factory, what it's like, what are some of your concerns as the vice president, what are some of the concerns that maybe Jeff has, and then from the original blends, and then take us through the ones that you've launched just a couple years ago.
It's a loaded question.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been at the factory many times. I'm down there for all of our productions, all of our final checks, all of our inspections. We have to be hands-on. And going into what is our biggest concerns, our biggest concern is continual quality. Having that American quality as standard of products that American consumers demand. And that's why we have to be completely hands-on when it comes to quality control, consistency, quality of tobacco, getting the best tobaccos in the world. You have to start with the best tobacco you can find. And that's what a lot of it is finding the best tobacco. And, the Plasencia family has a lot of the greatest tobacco, but not all of it, but they have a lot. So what we do, our biggest concerns is continually get that product to our consumer standards. So we're there for, rolling of the cigars, packing of the cigars. We're in the box factories. We're everywhere. So that's the biggest concern, is to continue to have, year after year of quality control. And then with our blends, we launched the 6 blends in 2014. Predominantly Nicaraguan tobacco, made in Nicaragua. Some outliers there on some of the things we use for some different wrappers and some different fillers, but predominantly Nicaraguan tobacco. They have 4 great regions of tobacco in Nicaragua, and they just have a lot of variants of different flavors in all 4 of those regions of tobacco. And it gives us a variety right there. We've pulled in some other varieties, especially with some of the newer stuff. So the old core lines, it was 6 blends, and we had 11 facings because we were blending to size. So we didn't have 8 SKUs per size. So we had a lot of blends, but not a lot of SKUs, which was a great way to start because we could get all 11 facings on a shelf and have a nice presence. But over the last few years, we launched the Crux Guild, which was our fullest body, which is a great cigar that's doing absolutely fantastic for us as long as we can continue making them, because we're selling every cigar we make. So, it's always, it's a good problem to have, but also, it's a lot more phone calls from, angry consumers. No, I'm kidding. Nobody gets too angry. The cigar business is a fickle industry where, we can't really control the growing seasons. We can't always control everything in our powers. So, the Guild is our fullest body offering, which we came out with last year, and it's done quite well for us. And then we had the Limitada PB5, which was a limited version, sourcing out the best tobaccos in the world that we can find. And that was a small batch that is called an Engañoso wrapper, which is in Esteli, Criollo wrapper. That it was a small batch, but being a small company, we can make limited stuff small batch. So we can find the best tobaccos if they've been laying around, like we did for that one. And that one used with that PB5, we'll come out with our 3rd edition there, as well as we continue to, use what's been a success for us. The Limitada was huge success. Got a lot of accolades across a lot of publication stuff, different blogs, good reviews. So that's that tobacco. It's a Cuban box press, correct?
Yep.
It's a 5 3/4 by 54 Cuban box press. So we've actually been sourcing out after we had the success with that wrapper, because that wrapper is like, by now it's over probably 10 years old. We had had them use and grow some more tobacco with that seed a few years ago, and we were actually down in the factory a few weeks ago looking at the Palones aging. So it won't be the same Engañoso from 10 years ago, but we have more to try to make some more limited options. So we've got some good tobaccos that have been very successful for us with that. And then our newest release that's coming out here soon. I'm actually, Jeff, I, and Mark are all heading down to Central America next week, and we are going to be doing the final inspection on our Crux our Crux Epicure, which is in Ecuadorian Connecticut, that we're really excited about. That was one of the cigars that we got on the books before the FDA last year for the 2016 show. Got it out, marketed across the country, but didn't have the production numbers to continually sell it through all of our retailers. And now we do. So we relaunched it again. I shouldn't say relaunch it. I should say we reintroduced it to the consumers at the IPCPR show this year. And I'm really looking forward to the Epicure coming out here in the short future here.
Nice.
Nice.
regional coverage in regards to some of the reps. What are some of the challenges that you have when you go into a retail store, you get it? What I find in the retail business, in the retail cigar business, is that, especially if it's in a cigar shop, you don't want it to get lost in the humidor. How do you face the challenge of going up against the classic facings, the ones that have been around for a while, and staying not only in front of the retailer, but also in front of the consumer?
Very good question, actually. First and foremost, we don't look at all retailers as just places to sell cigars. We actually look at them as partners, because we know we're a small company and we need to create a pull product, and we need partners that will push the product for us. So education about our products, like you mentioned earlier, the Crux webpage has a lot of back-end action of information, pictures, images, basically anything we can do to get people to be educated about our products. And we travel around the country. We have some territory brokers, and we're always looking to expand that as production allows. But the biggest thing is to find the right people that like our products, because if they like it, it's easier to sell it.
Absolutely.
And we're not trying to be in a million retailers. I mean, we want to be in the right quality retail partners. And, we find the people that have the passion like we do to sell good quality tobacco, and educating them, letting them enjoy our cigars. They want to sell our cigars when they have that relationship with us. So that's really important. The second part of that question, what else do we do with our consumers, is we have a huge social media presence.
That's where I was going to go with that next. Yeah, absolutely.
Social media is absolutely a large part of our success, from Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We make it definitely a forefront effort on getting the consumers the information of new product launches, where we're going to be, retailers, keeping Crux cigars fresh in their minds. And really, what we want to do is snapshot their mind for a few moments a day and just remind them about Crux cigars. So we all have Instagrams. We have our company Instagram. Mark, Jeff, and I all have our social ones that we all use to help promote our own personalities as well. Because it's a small group. We're basically like a family here. Even though Jeff is actually my family, Mark and whoever else helps the people around the country. But like being in front of people in different territories where I can't cover right now, or even maybe next week, then we use social media as just a reminder of who we are.
So this format to bridge that gap is a precursor to segment number 2. We're going to delve into some of that, and that's the way of the future, man. That's the way to go.
Yeah, social media has been a huge game changer, both for the boutique cigar companies and for both the classic facings, also for the retailer shops, getting the information out. When I owned the retail shop in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was there were social media wasn't, it was like MySpace was like becoming new, and it was like kind of like a band thing,
right.
There wasn't,
you still have MySpace? Still use your MySpace?
No.
Well played, sir. Well played.
No. I use
if a guy referenced MySpace, you got to call him on it.
No. But I did use it 2 years after it became popular, because I did go to Berklee College of Music and had some stuff up there. And,
I was going to say, did you have your band on there?
No, I was never a band guy. You know what I mean? I did some subs with some people, and it was cool, but that's a lot of commitment to being a band. You know what I mean? It's a lot of commitment, but that's another podcast. Maybe we'll start episode 1 of Joe's life, right? Or something. But no, I think that with social media, some cigar companies deliver it better than others, and I would put you in that category where you really seem to engage your users who post stuff about you. You do the repost and all of that stuff, and I think it's a good valid point. You have to build top of mind awareness in order for the customer or the consumer to now see your product on the shelf and say, hey, that was what I saw. Let me try some of the new stuff, or let me rekindle with some of the original stuff. I think it's very important, and I think a lot of companies might not take advantage of that.
Not to be vulgar, but the clear cut, the give a shit factor with Crux is high. That's you guys clearly care what the consumers think and bombarding social media and keeping it going, and beautiful.
Yeah, I have 2 more questions for you, and I'm going to get them out because I want a day in the life of the factory. Like, you wake up, because if I was in a factory, I'd wake up, have my cup of Joe, I'd look at the scenery. I would at least have a cigar and say, I need a quick half hour just to take this in. You know what I mean?
I need this.
I'd take like my union break every hour. Just to take in the scenery. But like, how many hours do you personally, as the vice president, spend in the factory? Take us through a typical day. What are some of the things that you're looking for? Obviously it's production quality, but just take us through a simple day in the factory. First of all, do you have a cup of Joe and check out the scenery? You must.
Of course. Okay. There's always coffee. You can't go anywhere without coffee. And like you said, a cup of Joe. So you get, the factory opens at 7 a.m. I usually get there, about 8 o'clock. Let them get settled before we get in, and we go in, and it's first of all and foremost, it's still a family, it's still a community there, and part of that is having a good rapport, with the people there. So being social, being there, being friendly, but that changes real fast after about 8-10, because we've got a lot of work to do, and we have a lot of places to be. So a typical factory week, it's 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. We're there. We check, how's tobacco for the future aging? How is the production currently being rolled? What are production levels in aging? As well as, as hand checking boxes, going through everything that we have, our point people that are our last, resort that do all the quality control, making sure their quality is up to standard. And we go through a lot of different processes with, aging of the tobacco, rolling of the tobacco, packing of the tobacco, trying to make everything easier in our boxes always, making sure our boxes are quality. It's a grind from basically 8:15 until 7 o'clock. There is that time we take lunch, we have some coffee when we're smoking cigars, and it's a lifestyle. But they work at such a fast pace in the factory. They are rolling hundreds of cigars a day. They're working on other people's projects. Since we don't have our own factory, you're taking bits and pieces of other people's days. So they do a great job for us. They always give us a couple of our great point people that are 2 of our biggest reasons that we have some success down there are the people that we work with and the tobacco that they sell us. So it's when Jeff's there, he blends, finding new tobaccos for new projects for next year or even the year after. What are going to be the growing seasons? How are they this year? What tobaccos are we going to be available? Do we have the tobacco we need set aside for next year? So, in a short period of 4 or 5 days, you accomplish a lot in about 11 hours a day. There's a lot of fun and there's a lot of work. As well as meeting, other industry people, checking out other factories, seeing what they're doing, checking out other manufacturers, checking out other box factories. So basically taking in that whole immersed culture of Esteli, where our cigars are made. It's a really unique experience. And if you haven't been on one of those safaris or the tours, it's definitely a once in a lifetime kind of thing.
It sounds like it. It's definitely on my bucket list. Absolutely. For sure.
Yep.
You joined Crux because you needed some real-world experience. Your words, not mine. What are some of the challenges, points, like if you knew then what you now know now? What are some of the challenges that you faced, especially being a vice president? There's a lot of people who I'm sure that have to report to you for sure.
I like to think they report to me.
But I can't do administrative stopgaps, right? I can't.
So when that conversation we were talking about was that transition from when I was working for Jeff to when I moved to Las Vegas, and I actually got a lot of experience there. I was fortunate enough to become a operations manager for a golf company. So I got to learn a lot before I was thrown right into this. So It's when Jeff had things to do with Crux to get it ready for, his SWOT analysis in the factory. I needed to, I had a business degree, and then I played minor league baseball. So I needed to grow up and learn how to manage, other people, as well as product inventory, distribution. And I got 5 years of that in Vegas. And it was awesome to do in another industry that I love, is the golf industry. That's one of my passions, is playing golf. So I got a lot of real world experience, with failures and successes. I mean, we had a great small business there that we grew exponentially while I was there, which was awesome. And I got to learn through some failures and successes there. So coming to Crux, of course, there's more failures and more successes. Very similar avenues of small business, but just different products and a little bit, different position. Now we're in the manufacturing versus just the retail and distribution. So things that I wish we would have known, back then. Well, first and foremost, I wish I could see into the future and find out more about FDA before we started, and knew what we were getting ourselves into, because that was an obstacle that we've overcome, and to this day we're stronger for it. But looking back at things that I wish we could have done, it's just looking at the people around us, and knowing where to put your effort first, and it always has to be with the people. If you don't put your effort into people, that could be the workers, that could be the rollers of cigars, the box makers, the consumers, the retailers. Putting our most effort always into the people is going to be why we've been successful over the last 3 years, because we have some of the greatest tobacco in the world. We have some of the greatest rollers in the world down in Nicaragua at our disposal to find. And the fact is, when people are happy doing things for you, they're going to be happy helping you succeed. And in order for us to do it, I don't roll cigars. I'm not a cigar roller. I can't roll the cigar you're smoking. I mean, I could. It wouldn't be nearly as quality and nearly as tasty as the one you're smoking currently. But with that reputation and that responsibility that we had to learn about each and every one of our people, that was probably the biggest thing that I've learned from Jeff after he spent all that time down there.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a question?
Certainly all-encompassing. Just real quick, my own personal favorite on the line, the Nymphomaniac, one buncher and 2 rollers for that given stick. If you could just elaborate on that particular stick, if you can. I find it fascinating, ridiculous amount of flavor, and tremendous smoking experience. It's up there.
Yeah, the Nymphomaniac is one of those cigars that is, just like you said, it's got a ton of flavor. It's a great cigar, and 2 blends, the natural and the dark. And the reason we only use one pair to do that is because it is a 7x33 ring gauge cigar. Right. It's an old Cuban-shaped Nympha, N-I-N-F-A, and then we added a double Perfecto. So to train more people to do that cigar that was trial and error in the beginning before we even launched the product, to making sure that cigar could be made, because Lanceros are 7x38 or 40. Now this is by 33, and it is the single hardest cigar to produce in the factory. I believe when we launched it, and for the first while, we were the only regular production Nymphas in the world coming out of Nicaragua. I'm not sure if that's still the case, but either way, we're one of the only people that are doing that, because we wanted to tie some history back to the Cuban lifestyle where cigars originated. And so we've tied a lot of our blends and brands and sizes into some Cuban historical references. So that was one of them. And the Nymphomaniac was actually the first cigar we sold. Excuse me. Nice. That came out just before the show, and people were saying these guys launched a cigar company and came out with a 7x33 double Perfecto. Well, we knew that wasn't going to be where we made the gross of our money, and with the production, but we knew people would talk about it. And just like Mark and Jeff had those great ideas of marketing the company, I mean, letting people talk about different things you're doing, always looking for something that's unusual, that'll keep people in the forefront.
I remember when it first came out and people in the shops were like, this cigar is so good. Why don't they make it in a different size? And I'm like, because that's why it's good.
Very unique, and certainly a market for it.
It's like you want to, Before we end with the future of Crux, I got to take some time out. It's not every day here on Stogie Geeks that I get a chance to talk to a ball player. What's it like to play ball? For those listeners who don't know, you played on X team. What was it?
I played on 5 teams in 2.5 years, so I was good enough to be there, but not good enough to stay put.
The highest level was Shreveport?
Highest level would have been with Fargo and Winnipeg.
Okay.
Shreveport was an American Association. I played in the Frontier League, the American Association League, and the Northern League. They're all independent minor leagues. The highest rated one was the American Association League, which was Shreveport. But before that, the Northern League was rated higher, which since then they've combined. So the American Association League, and you play 96 games in like 110 days. I mean, you're on the road every day.
Wild.
You play 13 out of 14 days. We weren't as fortunate because of the level I played at to have planes. So we were on buses.
Right.
Yeah.
We did fly from Winnipeg to Calgary because we traveled as far west as Calgary, being based out of Winnipeg or even Fargo when I played in that league. But I've spent many of nights sleeping in an overhead compartment. I have, found as much space as possible. I mean, I was always the smallest guy on the team. I mean, I'm 5'9". I played at 185 pounds, and I was by far the smallest guy on the team as a catcher. So I got more room than everybody else to at least lay down, relax, and drive from, Winnipeg, Canada, to Kansas City. Those were great long 22-hour bus trips.
Plus, the catcher controls the team. I don't care what anyone says.
Being a two-sport athlete with the football and the baseball, was there ever a thought of, chasing down the football dream as well, or was it?
There was actually never a thought of chasing the baseball dream. They found me. I graduated from college and got a call about a week after graduation saying, "We want to sign you." I had, lined up a job with another company. I was graduating college, thought I was going to be in a professional world, momentarily. And thankfully, I didn't have to. I got the opportunity to go play baseball for 2.5 years, which put me into the path of doing something different, something which I loved. Gave me the ability to, travel all over the country and all over Canada, experiencing, life on your own outside of central Minnesota, doing something you love for little to no money. But I wouldn't have traded it for the world because it, gave me the option to see what else is out there. Otherwise, I'd still probably be living in Minnesota, and I wouldn't have, had my blood acclimate to, warmer weathers, and I would be cold today.
Being that Crux is a family business and family-oriented, be remiss if we didn't mention legendary college coach Jerry Hogan. He just had a field named after him.
Yeah, I heard they named the field after.
He's kind of a big deal in the small parts of towns. He's been a college baseball coach and football coach for 40 plus years.
Unreal.
He's been my idol. He's the winningest defensive coordinator in all football history. Because St. John's has the winningest coach of all history, and he's been there for the 40 years of that. He's also very successful baseball coach. He's won many conference, had many players drafted. But yeah, they named they just redid the baseball field this year, and they named it Hogan Field in Collegeville, Minnesota. And we honored him with a great day that day, as well as he got to throw out the first pitch at a Twins game earlier this year.
Solid.
When they honored him when they were actually playing his second favorite team, and I'll say second because I won't let him say that the Yankees are his favorite team, behind the Twins.
There you go.
Nice. Before we let you go, future of Crux.
Future of Crux, man, it's bright. We're excited. The things we've learned, the people we've met, the tobaccos we've used, all of those things, we're really looking forward to, coming out with, the Crux Epic here, which we're really excited about. That's shortly going to be hitting shelves. And it's just finding those right tobaccos that Jeff can blend together. And he makes such, unique ideas when he's blending. And, the future is so bright because of the obstacles that we've overcome over the last few years, with FDA being the largest one, as well as being a new company in the industry, trying to really grab some foothold. I am really excited to have the opportunity to be a part of it, just with my cousin, with our family, with Mark, with all the people of Crux Cigars. We're really looking forward to it, and it's really getting a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, your business acumen, I think, from your descriptions, absolutely positively spot on. Stay on course. You guys are doing awesome. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the interview. I appreciate you coming here on Stogie Geeks, giving the two Joes a chance to interview you and learn more about your product, for sure. So thank you.
Awesome. I'm really, really happy to be here. Unfortunately, I couldn't see you the whole time. It's frozen. So I've seen the same picture of your two great mugs. One stuck that way, one stuck that way.
We'll email you the link, and you can share it all on the social media and all that stuff.
I'll definitely get the link, but I really also would like to congratulate you and Stogie Geeks on episode 250. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of shows. That's a commitment of excellence right there, and you guys have a great thing, and we're looking forward to future relationship with you guys and growing that as getting the information to Stogie Geeks when we have the new things coming out, and we're really looking forward to it. And we appreciate you guys having us on with Crux Cigars. Check out cruxcigars.com and go Crux yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to be right back with social media and cigars. Stay tuned.